I'm sorry about my midlife crisis, but you're gonna have to deal with the mustache and the hair for now.
It's phenomenal. You look like you're about to join the WWE.
Hey, I didn't make it the first time. Maybe I could try for a second go of it.
I mean, you got the looks, bro. I think you can make it happen.
You never know.
What you been up to, man?
Man, just lots of stuff. Trying to always work on getting better in terms of movement and exercise and all those good things. So trying to get my body, I guess, like unstuck from the years and years of powerlifting.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time thinking it was a great idea to get like as huge as possible. And so I, got up to 330 pounds. My body became very stiff. And as the commentary on the internet goes with me running, I'm still stiff. So I'm working my way through it and working on it. As you saw today, we did a little bit of running.
Yeah, we did. We pushed the sled around for a little bit, and then we ran around the block a couple times, and I was fucking out of gas, dude.
Isn't it crazy just to run around the block?
And it's not even that hot out here. It's like a nice day today too.
It's beautiful out.
Yeah.
I do want to say, one thing that I really would love to encourage people to do is, and I realize every part of the United States is so different, but just try to get outside.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to think that our workouts need to always be like full throttle, need to be really hard, but literally I think getting outside would change most people's life. The people especially that aren't getting outside now. So use your phone or use certain cues during the day to just think to yourself, could I just be outside right now? Because maybe you could be. And that's a small change. I know you've had Jack Cruz and some other people come on the show, talk about sunlight and the benefits of it. But it's just very clear that in our civilization for many, many years, we've needed to move a certain amount and we need to spend a certain amount of time outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I do it every morning. The first thing I do is I go outside and I spend like the first 20, 30 minutes outside. It's a game changer. It really is. Especially in Florida because we get really good sun here.
You were saying that you love to move before the show.
Oh, that I wanted to move to California?
No, you just love movement. Yeah, we were talking about San Diego and stuff too.
Yeah.
But you love movement before you do the show every time.
Oh, yes.
Exercise, lifting, pushing yourself.
Well, being perpetually sleep deprived as I am with kids, the one thing that will wake me up is like a really hard fucking workout before a podcast.
Just something intense.
That and and then being outside. Usually I like to work out outside. So I'll like drag all that shit out into the road and, do it out there. That's like optimal.
That's what we were doing with the tank. We took the tank out and we took it for a little spin and then we went on that run. But I believe that every person has to figure out, and I this is made up math by me, so take it for whatever it's worth. But I think that everybody needs to figure out a way to expend, in addition to their just metabolic rate, in addition to their body just being their body and them just having a certain caloric requirement every day just to survive. I think they need to expend 500 to like 1,000 calories, which is a lot, because I think that human beings are designed to move about 5 to 7 miles every single day. And I don't necessarily mean like literally just like walking back and forth and walking around, but at the same time, there probably is some literal amount of steps that you need. There's probably a minimum requirement. And I heard you say today, like with utilizing testosterone, you kind of mentioned like you kind of feel like if you don't move around, you start to feel antsy. That feels like locked up.
Yeah.
I think many people feel that even without taking testosterone because they don't move. You've been somebody that has been into movement pretty much your whole life, surfing, jiu-jitsu, lifting. Like you've been a very active person. There's a lot of people that don't have that activity. They didn't grow up with that, and they didn't grow up with the understanding that physical education is first and foremost. Like it's the first thing that we need.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that you learn. You start to move around a lot more before you ever start to develop the ability to talk or even the ability to walk. You're literally just trying to move to develop your body so that you can prepare yourself for what? For
it makes you feel
running.
so much better during the day. It makes you feel, especially if your job is sitting in a chair talking. You have to be able to do something and move and get around. It's not like a physical job. So like when I went to California to meet with you guys and do your show, like how we did that, workout beforehand, like I felt freaking great after doing that with the sandbags and the sled and the rope flow and all that. There's nothing better there's nothing better than doing that before before completing a task that requires no movement. You know, it really locks you in and puts you in the zone. I think it's the best way to keep balanced when you're doing shit like this.
People sometimes use the term like jog your memory. Have you ever heard that? You know, I think that's kind of what you're doing. You're jogging your brain. You're trying to get trying to get everything to fire the right way. And one of the best ways to get stuff to fire is to drop down and just do a shit ton of push-ups.
Yep.
You know, you don't really realize how difficult. We kind of discredit a lot of things because we've seen people do some pretty extraordinary feats. We've seen the David Goggins, and we've seen, you know, people sprint all these crazy speeds and squat all these crazy insane amounts of weight. But you kind of forget just squatting your own body weight and doing some push-ups, go back and forth between doing sets of 10 on both of those. You'll be gassed.
Dude, the sprints are wild. Because I listened to the podcast you did with that woman talking about sprints. And I told you I started doing those on the beach. And those will wake you up like
shout out to Cynthia. She's faster over 40 on Instagram. Yeah, she's incredible. So she does 400 meters in like 57 seconds or something like that, which it's a goal of mine. At 50, I want to be able to do under a minute. So she's faster than me. And she's just pretty damn fast in general. But
so
sprinting is critical.
What is supposed to be the overall benefit of doing sprints?
There's a lot to it, but the basics are central nervous system. So we don't really tap into the central nervous system that much when it's tapped into. There's a crossover point between bodybuilding and strength training. I would say strength training I would define as being more like sets of 6 reps and under. That actually does tap into your nervous system a little bit more. And I'm not trying to speak sciencey. I'm speaking like from my own experience and from what I've seen. But some of the anecdotal evidence would be if I did 3 sets of 3 with you and we went as heavy as we could on some type of deadlift, you'd be driving home and you would be visibly like kind of shaking. You'd be like, oh, that's your nervous system getting fired up. You don't normally get that from normal workouts. Now you can get that from plyometrics. You can get that by tapping into exercises where your muscles need to fire in a really quick period of time. And I think that side of strength training is not getting talked about enough. I think that we need to figure out how many different ways can I sprint and how many different ways can I sprint safely? Because someone may tell you, oh, you know, if you're going to sprint, you can really only sprint like once a week. And that's pretty true. And if you're advanced, you might only be able to sprint really hard, even less. Like someone like Usain Bolt, he would only run his fastest times in the Olympics because he's going to blow his body apart if he practiced that too much, right? So he has to have a lot of other different training modalities to simulate what he was trying to do in competition. But for the rest of us, I mean, just starting on the ground, starting on your back, and then pretend, you know, or blow a whistle or have someone blow a whistle or you know, clap your hands and then just pop up and just take off as fast as you can. There's so many different ways to do some of these drills that we used to do when we were kids. And with your children, with the ages that they're at, I mean, all they would think that is just fun. Whereas like once you start to get to be maybe even over the age of 25 or so, you might go, all right, let me see how I can do on this, unless you're someone that practices that. So sprints, they tap into the central nervous system. I don't know a ton about how good they are for bone density, but I can't imagine they wouldn't be great for bone density as well, because of you're literally like trying to punch the ground with your foot. There's a lot of misunderstanding with sprinting, but the more that we've learned about it, it's actually like you're punching down the ground as hard as you possibly can.
Unless you go too hard, 'cause like David Goggins had all those spider cracks in his shins, right?
Well, so he's jogging. He's jogging.
Oh, he's just jogging.
He's jogging / running, and sprinting is a little different. And you know, you're bringing up a good point. Like, don't smash your feet into the ground when you're on concrete. Even when we were running today, I just said, hey, try to get your feet to be a little lighter.
Yeah.
Just because you were in barefoot shoes, and yeah, they were sort of thumpy. And so yeah, you do want to kind of be light on your feet, but it's even more complex than that, but you're trying to be springy. But just back to the whole thing on sprints in general, it's like that's going to be the hardest thing to do. Sprints are going to be the hardest thing to do. Sprints, box jumps, those are going to be things that are really difficult. And we know they're really difficult because I can ask a 60-year-old or 70-year-old or 80-year-old, I can say, hey, lay down on this bench and bench press this weight. No problem. They can do it, right? But they might not be able to do certain amounts of weight, but they could do the bar, or they could do appropriate weight, whatever is appropriate for them. I could also say, hey, let's have you squat onto this chair. And most likely they can figure out, some have disabilities and so forth, but for the most part, a lot of people are going to be able to try to figure that out. But if I said, you have to go on this assault bike right here and you have to produce 500 watts. I want you to produce 500 watts in 5 seconds.
God damn, that's a lot.
No chance. They're not going to be able to. And I just made that up, but you could pick any number, 200, 300.
Yeah.
They're going to probably struggle to do it because they don't have the strength. They don't have the ability to tap into their nervous system.
Right.
And nervous system is all like, really, really quick, explosive movements.
Right. Yeah, that does something. It does something to you. And then on top of that, like the feeling at the end of the day of just like having your body feel fatigued is so good, especially when you want to go to bed and like you feel accomplished. You feel like you really got something done. You were productive that day, It's
a regulator. I think
it is.
I think I am somebody that struggled like hell in school, and I always hated it. And as I've gotten older, I just still can't believe that school is the same way. I still can't believe that kids are kind of locked into school.
Dude, it's crazy.
For so many hours. I mean, you drop your kid off at 5 years old and you don't see him for like another 6 hours. Like, I don't understand what's going on, but I think school starts way too early. I think it goes for way too long. It goes on for way too many years. So not only is it too long for the amount of hours that the kids are there, but I understand why it's that way. It's so that parents can like go off and do their normal day. It's kind of like a form of daycare, and I understand it does feed a lot of kids, and there's a lot to look into.
Yeah.
If we're going to change the system, we're going to F over a lot of people. So we need to be careful if we do change it. But to think that children are going to be like locked into this box with these fluorescent lights beaming down on them for hours on end, and they're supposed to get educated that way. They're supposed to learn that way. It's like, man, to me, that's an unreasonable proposition to think that even half the class is going to get much from that. I'd rather see, some form of like going outside or some other activities introduced. And I know that there are some schools, there's some places that do that. And I also realize that if you grow up in like Minnesota, that you're pretty screwed.
Yeah.
There's certain parts of the country where that is obviously going to be more difficult. But we're meant to move. We are meant to move. It's part of our development.
Yeah.
Even now, I think if you have a kid and your kid is, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they didn't have an influence in the household about physical culture and even nutrition, I think they're missing out on a lot of opportunities. If your kid is 11 and your kid's 30, 40 pounds overweight, I think they're in a position where opportunities are going to be less for them. The baseball game that they want to pick up might be harder. Some of the sports they might want to play might be harder. Even just fitting in might be more difficult. It brings up a lot of issues and a lot of problems.
I don't know what it's like in California, but there's a lot of folks in Florida that are turning to homeschooling with their kids. There's even a place right down the street from here. It's a sailing center. So it's like a place where kids learn to sail, and they have like a whole 2 days of the week, I think, are dedicated for these homeschool co-ops that come there, and they bring all the kids there and they go sail for the day. It's like part of their homeschooling week. Like one day they go sailing, another day they go to like some museum or something. So like they get to experience real world shit. And I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, but I don't know how much that's happening around the country. I just know it's happening more and more in Florida. Have you seen any of that shit in Florida? Or California?
I heard a great quote before, and it was by someone that we had on our podcast, and he said, Matt Bergeron is his name. Easy for me to say, but Matt said, "Who better to teach your children than yourself?" Because most parents are like, well, I don't know anything about any of that. It's like, well, you could relearn it. Like, you already do probably know some of it. You probably know some of the stuff that gets taught in kindergarten. You probably know some of the stuff that gets taught in first grade, maybe second grade. Maybe by the time they get to seventh grade, maybe they do need like a teacher. Maybe they need someone that's going to be more qualified than you. Not everyone has the same circumstances. Not everyone has the same finances and the same money and stuff like that. But there are alternative schools that people can go to. There's other options out there. So I have seen that in California. We have a school out there called Acton Academy, and that's where my son went for a year. And I saw some huge changes in him. Now
what's great about, what's different? How is that school different?
Acton Academy is a little bit similar to like a Montessori school.
Oh, okay.
But I basically, so it was during COVID, and I'm not a forcer. I don't force myself to do much of anything. I don't force my kids to do anything. It's just some of my own personal beliefs. I'd rather present some options and then like hope that they kind of go that way, or boxed ideas, which is sort of forcing, and have them pick, one of the 3 or 4 things that I mentioned. But in this case, I did force my son to go to Acton Academy because it was something I was listening to. It was something I was researching, and my son and I have had a lot of communication about school, and he started to really dislike school, and he wasn't doing his homework, and my wife was following his whatever that app is to follow like their homework and all that stuff, and it was driving her crazy. And so I was like, you need to get rid of that app. I was like, it's invasion of privacy. Like, she's like, yeah, but he's just a kid, and like, I want to keep him on track. And I was like, he's not going to do his homework. He doesn't care. I was like, he already knows it's like fake. Like, school just doesn't matter.
Right.
The thing that they used to sell us on was that this goes on your permanent record, is what they kind of used to say. 11th grade is the most important grade. Like, that one goes on, and there's no permanent record, and no one ever cares about it. Obviously, there's some things that you do where you need to go to college and need to have a degree for certain things, but my son never wanted to pursue any of that. So I went into his room and I said, all right, tomorrow I'm going to take you to Acton Academy, and then I said, I'm going to come back in your room in like 15 minutes, and I want to talk about it a little bit more. So then we talked about it a little bit more, and he basically said okay, even though I was forcing him to anyway. And then when we went, I said, okay, now that we went, you have to go like 3 times, because I want to see if you like, and then if you like it, then this is where you're going to go. Because they didn't have any rules with masks and vaccines, and they just didn't care. They just still had school like normal. And I was like, this will be a great environment rather than him trying to like do a bunch of work that he really doesn't want to do on a computer. Yeah. His first day there, it was all kids. There was no teacher. There's no teacher in the room at all. And it's just kids talking. And they're talking about these boxed ideas. They can talk about politics, or they could talk about science.
How old?
These kids were probably 15 or so.
Wow.
Some of them were like a little younger, because the school wasn't very big. So that was one of the issues with the school. Is like the school is still trying to develop. And, ideally you would have, 10 or so or 20 or so kids of similar age. But anyway, this school had kind of a mix of kids all the way from 6 all the way to about 17, 18 years old. But yeah, they were just deciding on like what they wanted to talk about. And then this person would, bring up these topics, and then they would talk about it. Like, they'd put it to a vote. And
so was there like a kid who was kind of like the head honcho or something? Like, was there a pecking order? Or no, it was just free for all?
Not really.
Wow, that's
it was supposed to be worked out between them. There are teachers, there are people there that work there that will, communicate with you. And if like you get into fights and stuff, obviously they'll try to rectify some of that and present some other options. But they're really just there to just make sure that the kids start to get some sort of work done. Then the kids start to pick stuff, and then the teacher's like, okay, well, let's maybe work on how's everybody feel about a project? How about we do a project like this where we can learn about that, or we can go down the street to this museum that's down the street, or
let's talk about our feelings.
Exactly.
No one talks about it, but we all know it exists. Toxins are everywhere, in the air, the water, plastics, food packaging, and even cleaning products. Even in the stuff that's marketed as healthy. And the real problem isn't in one big exposure, but in a gradual exposure over time. Which is why I pay close attention to my glutathione. Specifically, I use rose liposomal glutathione. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant, but stress, poor sleep, alcohol, processed food, and environmental toxins burn through it fast. Glutathione plays a major role in liver detox pathways and helps fight oxidative stress, the stuff that leaves you feeling inflamed, foggy, and run down. And not all supplements are created equal. A lot gets broken down during digestion. That's why I like Ro. Their liposomal glutathione is designed to protect and improve absorption so your body can actually use it. So if you want a legit daily way to support detox, antioxidants, and overall health, check out Ro Nutrition's liposomal glutathione. Go to ronutrition.com and use the code DANNY for 20% off site-wide. That's RHO nutrition.com for 20% off by using the code DANNY.
Where I live in Davis is kind of like, you know, it's kind of like what you're talking about.
It's a college town?
It is, yeah. UC Davis, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I've met a lot of people from Northern California, and they're like hardcore conservatives.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do have a lot of that there.
Yeah,
but
as
even
well
just
as San Diego, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a military town.
Yeah, I mean, even just back to the schooling. You know, what I always just think about is like, you don't necessarily need school, but you do need to be educated. And so, like, how can we get our kids educated? How can we get our kids? We want our kids to...
You got to get them in nature, bro. Throw them in the ocean.
Right?
Give them a surfboard. They're in California. Throw them in the freaking ocean with a surfboard, and then let them catch some waves, dodge some freaking seals, some sea lions, and some great white sharks. I think that's the best thing. That'll humble you real quick.
Well, those are some tough days, right? Lugging the board out there.
Yeah, and the water's like 50 degrees, 40 degrees.
Learning how to surf and all the time it takes. And I think ultimately, what we're looking for from our, you know, people out there that are parents, I think from our children, is that they're able to like turn themselves into something. Mm-hmm. And we sometimes want to downplay that. We sometimes want to be like, oh, well, you don't have to be like necessarily great at anything. But it's actually really nice if they end up being great at something. It's something everyone can get behind. If they're
a trophy kid,
if they're great at a sport or something like that, then that's fine. But
yeah, that's the thing too. So I grew up surfing, and I always wanted my kid to surf. I was, when he was really young, I was constantly trying to bring him to the beach, talk to him about surfing, get him to, you know, go out and get, you know, go into some waves on a boogie board or something just to get used to it or whatever.
And he's all crying.
Another one of my friends who grew up similar to me, he had twins, and he was doing the same thing with his kids, but his kids were much older than mine. He was like, don't do it. He's like, I was forcing my one kid to surf his whole life when he was young, went up until he was like 6, and now he absolutely hates surfing. Now, because I was trying to force it on him and make him do it, now he fucking hates it. So it's like you gotta just sort of like loosely guide them where you want them to go.
I mean, just think about yourself. If you force yourself to do stuff a little too much,
I want to do the opposite of what my parents told me to do. So.
Yeah, right. And even just think about yourself in terms of like when you force yourself to do something. I know there's like this, again, kind of David Goggins thing of like, I hated this, but I still went and did it. And what I say to that is that's actually not true. You actually enjoyed it enough to go do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's a pain attribute to it, or maybe there's some aspect of it that you didn't necessarily want to put yourself through, but you did like it enough. And that's something for myself that has always worked great for me, is to lean into the things that I enjoy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that could be hard because you could be somebody that maybe enjoys things that aren't great for you, like Kratom, as we were talking about earlier,
right.
Or a drug or pornography or whatever it might be. It could be something that is a banana peel and that you need to pay attention to. But for the most part, if the things that you like or enjoy are fairly healthy, you think they're good for your mindset, then I think you lean towards those things as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Kratom thing is wild. Like I was telling you, I was drinking so much of the Kratom that I had to just take a break from it just to see what would happen. And you know, I don't know what's gonna. I never really got like really addicted. Like I know some people have withdrawals from doing too much Kratom.
I'm kidding.
But like I stopped. I felt like maybe like tired for a couple of days, but I never really had any like real issues with it. I was just like after a couple of days, I didn't really think about it anymore. You know, but I know this stuff. I don't know how strong this stuff is.
It's pretty strong. White Rabbit. It's got a nice dose, 75 or something.
It says total kratom by volume is less than 1%, and 7-hydroxy metergynin, less than 0.02 milligrams.
Yeah, that's the 7-OH stuff.
Total 7-hydroxy by volume is less than 0.0.
Tell me how many milligrams.
0.001. What does that mean? What's that in English? You're an expert in this stuff, right?
Not really. But it does have, I think, at least 25 or 30 milligrams of Kratom in there, and Kratom
or 7-OH?
Kratom.
Okay.
The amount of 7-OH in there is way less. So something that's important about Kratom is that there's 7-OH in all Kratom. It's a alkaloid, I believe. And again, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I know last time I said some stuff, and then people got all upset in the comments. My brother knows a lot.
There's a heavy Kratom community out there. They're fucking.
Yeah,
they're hardcore.
My brother knows a lot about it, but my brother was saying, "Hey, I need to come back on the show," because he talked about how they banned 7-OH here. So 7-OH, they sometimes will make straight up, and that's not straight up 7-OH. This is more of a Kratom product. So it has 25 or 30 milligrams or so of Kratom. There just happens to be 7-OH in there because it's part of the mitragine plant, I believe.
Okay.
And so there's a small percentage of 7-OH in there. It is believed that 7-OH is a little closer related to heroin. And so that's where people get scared and nervous about it, which makes a lot of sense. But it seems like the 7-OH, when you take that alkaloid out and just primarily use that it works better for pain, and it works better for people that had previous addictions.
When you isolate the 7-OH by itself.
When you isolate it out. So there's a lot of weird, crazy stuff with Kratom. There's a lot of alkaloids to it. And there's some people right now that are doing research on trying to, so, you know, 7-OH, they can ban that all they want, but there's so many more alkaloids in this plant. There's going to be other ones keep coming. And they do, just like any other drug, they do pose a danger. They do pose a threat. They can be addictive.
So if Florida banned 7-OH, how come you can still buy this stuff at the store?
Because it's a little bit complicated, because these have such a small percentage of 7-OH that it's allowed to still go. In California, I don't think they officially passed like a bill or a law yet, but they did something where a lot of the Kratom companies just said F it, and they pulled all their stuff from the shelves of the smoke shops and stuff. But some of the other companies are like, well, we're kind of shady anyway, because a lot of the companies that's just the way it is. I mean, the Kratom business, Kratom Kava, I'm in it. I have a brand, and it's a little shady. Because it's unregulated. Supplement industry is unregulated as well, but this is different because, I mean, how many people are really overdosing on like vitamin C or creatine? Like, you know, things happen. People do overdose on supplements.
Yeah.
People might get a vitamin D or vitamin A toxicity or something crazy, but it's very rare. And people actually do get messed up on energy drinks. People get really messed up on energy drinks, where people end up in the hospital and all kinds of different things. But Kratom can be a slippery slope, and I think you and I are both very fortunate. I might have like an addictive personality a little bit to some stuff. Like when I was a kid, I liked video games, and when I played a video game, I'd get like determined.
I'm the same way. I'm addicted to a video game currently. I'm like,
what are you playing?
It's called Arc Raiders.
Sick.
Yeah. No, it's insanely
You got
addictive.
3 kids and a wife. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I wait till they all go to bed and I'll fucking play that game for an hour. It's driving me crazy.
But yeah, you know, getting addiction. I have addiction in my family. I lost a brother to it. I basically lost my mother to it. My mother wasn't addicted to drugs, but she was addicted to food. And I lost an uncle from it. And I've lost many friends over many different types of drug addictions. But Kratom is an interesting one because I don't feel like, oh man, I need more Kratom. It's just, I like the way that it makes me feel. I like kind of like where it takes me to. And I think that what I've noticed in my own life in general, I can get to most of the spots that I want to get to without a drug. It's just easier and quicker to do it with a drug. I mean, even strength and stuff like that. I mean, I've always been strong. Before I ever took steroids, I was strong. I wasn't as strong. They helped me a lot, but I don't have any information or know where I would have been able to take my strength. I would assume it would be less, but there's so many other things that go into that equation, because when I started steroids at 25, I weighed as much as I do right now, which is about 215 pounds. And I got myself all the way up to 330 pounds. And so I did make myself stronger, but I also, via steroids, made myself bigger. So I think in general, drugs take you to a spot that you normally otherwise maybe can't get to, and or they take you there really quick. And with Kratom, what you need to be careful of, it's like a shot of dopamine.
Yeah.
You know, you can, I mean, I don't want to compare it to cocaine because I don't think it's as dangerous, but it's getting you there really fast. I've never tried cocaine, so I don't have a comparison for myself, but it does seem like it's a quick shortcut. And so for me, because I would associate Kratom with a workout, I would associate Kratom with a podcast, I would associate, and once you start to, Huberman's talked about this before, doubling and tripling up on your dopamine, that's not a great place to be. So even just, sitting down, watching your favorite show and eating ice cream and pizza is an example, right?
Right.
Like, I'm going to watch this football game and I'm going to crush a bunch of wings and eat a bunch of pizza and drink a bunch of beer. It's like, well, that's a habit that's really costing you a lot. It's because you're multiplying dopamine, which is just not a great thing to do.
If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, I encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon exclusive episodes, as well as live Q&As, and you can get your personal questions answered by our guests every single week. For me, being able to collaborate and communicate back and forth with our Patreon community every week has been huge. And this is my way of saying thank you for the cost of a cup of coffee a month. Now back to the show.
Didn't you say that ever since Florida did the ban on 7-OH, there's been a lot of drug overdoses or opioid overdoses?
Yeah, maybe we can look it up, but I believe there's been more overdoses here than previous. So a lot of people are utilizing,
because they can't get 7-OH anymore.
Because they can't get 7-OH anymore. There's more deaths. Yeah, I believe so. I think what's happening is, so years ago with Kratom, someone would walk in and they would get they would usually get just like Kratom pills, capsules rather. Right. They'd get Kratom capsules, and the Kratom capsules would have like X amount of mitragine, which would be the whole plant, and the plant is not adulterated. So the plant is not made any more powerful. It's like literally just grinded up leaves of mitragine.
Right. Nothing added, nothing subtracted, just the natural plant.
Just stuffed into a capsule, right? That had a certain effect, and you would take, 3 or 4 or 5. Some people would even take maybe 6. And my brother has a lot of chronic pain, so he would take as many as like 10 of those. But that only has such an impact, and it only hits you a certain way. It takes a lot longer than a liquid form that's adulterated. That's, again, these are, so 25 milligrams. So to give you an example, 25 milligrams of this, which is in this
white. So 1 can of this.
White Rabbit. Yeah. And this whole thing, there's 25 milligrams. Okay. In a capsule, there could be about 500 milligrams.
In one capsule?
In one capsule, there could be 500 milligrams.
And your brother was taking 10 capsules?
Right. My brother was taking 5 grams of Kratom.
God.
But again, it's whole leaf Kratom, so it's way different. So you can't compare the two.
What's the difference? Why? So how is this?
This is just way. This is probably the equivalent of, I don't know what the math would be, but this is probably the equivalent of like 4 or 5 grams
What?
Yeah, about maybe 3 or 4 grams, probably the equivalent of 3 or 4 grams of straight kratom. You can see how we're like really rolling the dice here now, right? Because as you make it more and more powerful, you are potentially causing more problems, more addictive behavior. Now 7-OH representing a tiny amount, so we'll do this again, right? So 7-OH representing a tiny amount of this. If we just extract that and have that in a pill, which is common, that'll send you to the moon and back again even faster than that will.
See, these don't do much for me. They just give me like a mellow. I describe it as like a mood lifter. It just elevates my mood a little bit. That's really it.
It's not insanely powerful. It's not, that amount of kratom is not. It's not nuts. It's not. It's like. They knew what they were doing when they put that one together, and they said, let's just give people a touch of this. Just like, maybe in Gorilla Mind or maybe some of the products that are out there, like, okay, let's get, synergy going and let's get a little bit of caffeine and give people like a little bit of a nice buzz. But let's not have them tripping out and it's not, 400 or 300 milligrams of caffeine or whatever it might be.
Right.
Again, the 7-OH in a capsule, I have a bunch of friends that use that. They use it too often. They seem to be addicted to it. It's still safer than 7-OH that comes in a liquid because there's now like 7-OH shots.
Oh, really?
And I took a shot of one from a smoke shop. My brother was telling me about 7-OH and I didn't know he's talking about 7-OH in pill form. 7-OH in pill form is much easier to distribute the right amount of milligrams.
Right.
Now, because I know better, or at least I thought I knew better, I'm like, and I don't have any experience with this drug, even though it is kratom, I'm like, I'm going to take a tiny sip of this. So I took a tiny sip of it, and then I was going to record a bunch of stuff for that day, and I'm going to the bathroom and I get up from taking a dump and I'm just like, my body's like kind of shaking. Almost like an overload of like caffeine, but a little bit different. Then I go to put my socks on and my shoes on and now my hands are like, they're shaking, like noticeably shaking. Not just, sometimes you take a lot of caffeine and your hand might twitch a tiny bit, right? This was like, my body was like trembling. I started to kind of feel cold. So I put my socks on, I put my shoes on. And I was going to tell my wife about it, but my wife was working out with her friends. So I was like, all right, well, I think I can drive. So I drive myself to the gym.
Let's get behind some heavy machinery.
Yeah. So I drive myself to the gym, trying to make sure I'm okay. Like my eyes seem like they're okay. Everything seems to be okay. Otherwise, I'm just a little shaky. And I get to the gym and I tell my camera guy, I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, you might have to call 911. I was like, the only thing that makes sense to me is for me to just work out and pretend that nothing happened because I think I need to like work this out of my body.
Yeah.
And so I go through the workout and maybe about a half an hour goes by and finally it just passes. And I was like, holy crap. I'm like, what the hell is that stuff? So I called my brother and we went back and forth on it. He's like, that's a crazy response that you had that response from such a small amount of it. And I was like, well, I'll never touch it again because I had some sort of weird reaction to it. So that's my experience. I only had one experience with 7-OH, and whatever the liquid one was that I took was just way too powerful. So people, I like what Huberman says. Huberman just says, hey, just don't ever try it.
Yeah.
Just don't ever try kratom. It's again, even though I have a company that sells kratom, I would tell people the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you can get yourself stuck and you can get yourself in a weird situation. Totally. It's not for everybody. When people call, our customer service always tells them, they say, hey, is this addictive? We're like, yep. It sure is. It might not be for you.
Right. Yeah, it can be a slippery slope. But the scariest part is you don't really remember where you were once you get so far down the rabbit hole with any kind of drug or any kind of supplement or whatever. And you've been taking it for a month, drinking it for a month, whatever that thing is. And like, it's hard to like remember what your baseline was before that. You're like, this is like your new normal. right? So like that's where it gets really squirrely.
Just start to have it all the time, and then you try to justify it by comparing it to other things.
Exactly.
And sometimes the comparisons aren't great. Like everyone tries to always compare everything back to caffeine, but it's like, I mean, caffeine maybe has some negative side effects. Like there is research that shows it could negatively impact your sleep, even if you're having coffee super early in the day. It messes with your HPA axis, and there's all those.
That's how I would justify the Kratom.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Like,
I would say, how bad is this Kratom? All right. I drink one a day, and yes, I'm addicted to it, but I'm also addicted to coffee. I can't remember the last time I had to have a cup of fucking coffee. Right. Like I can't remember a day in the last 15 years, I haven't had a cup of coffee in the morning or 2 cups of coffee in the morning. What I did recently is I stopped, I kicked my fucking coffee maker to the curb, and I got this French press with no plastic in it. It's all metal.
Oh, nice.
So like I started brewing my coffee in this French press. Dude, the taste is so much different. It's night and day.
That's great.
It tastes so much smoother and cleaner. It doesn't have any of like the acidic-y fucking weird taste that my coffee maker made my coffee. I was astonished by it. I was like, this is what coffee is supposed to taste like.
That's great.
I think it probably had to do with all the fucking plastic and bullshit that was in that coffee maker.
That's true. And I think coffee can be healthy to a certain extent. I think it's got polyphenols in it and stuff like that. And people always talk about green tea, and green tea has caffeine in it too. So I don't think caffeine's like this compound that we need to really watch out for. But look at the line at Starbucks. Like I was just going through a bunch of different airports, and the line at Starbucks is still just as long as it's always been. People are very addicted, and I think it's something everyone should just give some thought to. It's not like, hey, we're trying to judge everybody for it, but
hold on, look at a quick break. There's a guy at my front door. We're back. All right, what'd you find, Steve?
Okay, so there has been a decrease in
this is saying a
deaths.
total 14% decrease in 2024 of opioid-caused deaths, dropping 32% in fentanyl-caused deaths, dropping 35%. These results highlight a sustained downward trend in drug-related deaths since peaking in 2021, underscoring the state's continued success in safeguarding the health and safety of its citizens.
I wonder if they're doing something with those compounds to make that happen less.
I can't imagine there's a lot of people dying from fucking 7-OH.
I don't know about that.
I didn't know that it was fatal like that. I didn't know that you could actually. Okay, Kratom is linked to 6 LA deaths. Okay, now
they're saying Kratom, but they're lumping it in with 7-OH. It's the 7-OH that's doing it.
Okay, ask your AI or whatever, how many total Kratom deaths have happened?
Sometimes the Kratom deaths are from people trying to drink powdered Kratom.
I saw a guy do that on this podcast right before we started. He fucking took a handful or like a container full of it and threw it in his mouth and then washed it down with water.
So it's like cinnamon.
Yeah.
So it can choke you to death. And there's been people that have died from that, which is.
Say, how many Kratom
I'm not trying
deaths
to defend Kratom,
have there been in the
interesting.
U.S. since 2023?
This is all good to know. It's good for people to know.
National estimates from 2025, from 2015 to 2025, published March 2020. Oh, just published. Identified 233 deaths associated with Kratom exposure between 2015 and 2025. Okay, now do the same search with caffeine-related deaths. While deaths are rare, adverse reactions have increased significantly since 2023. It's not giving us a real straightforward answer like the Kratom one was. The Kratom one was straightforward. 233. This one is like all over the place and tons of nuance. Weird.
So how do you think, for you, how do you think you got maybe when did you realize you were in over your head maybe with Kratom?
When I realized I was just thinking about it when I shouldn't be thinking about it.
Like you wake up and you're like, oh,
I wake up and drink a cup of coffee and I'd be like, am I going to drink a Kratom drink today? Could I use one today? Like, I know like when it's taking up like mental thought processing time, that's probably a problem. If I'm like trying to pre-plan my day, pre-plan whether I'm going to have a fucking Kratom energy drink, like I know it's a problem. So that's when I had to stop. And now I don't think about it at all anymore.
Yeah, I think you have to, I think like, one of the signs of addiction is that it's like starting to disrupt your life. It's starting to interfere. They say like, have you ever been late to work, or like those kind of questions,
Mm-hmm.
and the answers to some of those are probably no. So that's like, it just justifies you to take it even more.
Right.
And the same thing with caffeine, because you could be like, well, I kind of think about caffeine kind of a lot too. I kind of think about these Zen pouches a bunch too.
Yeah.
But the main thing is like, hey, let's just try not to get addicted to like too many things. If coffee's already in the mix, or caffeine, however you want to look at it, if that's already in the mix, then let's try not to get 6 or 7 other things
Right.
to be addicted to as well.
Well, I'm really skeptical about the things that like really get popular. Like the Zen pouches, the nicotine pouches, like those just burst onto the scene, and every kid is taking the nicotine pouches or doing those nicotine vape things.
Right.
And like, I'm super skeptical of that shit. Like, what are going to be the long-term
Right.
domino effects of these caffeine pouches everyone's taking, right? And is it just, nicotine pouches. And is it just nicotine in there? Or like, is there other weird shit in there, like... And I think the same thing with the GLP-1 peptides.
Yeah.
Like, like all these people that are on it's insane how many people are just hopping on these GLP-1s and just looking like a melted candlestick, as you say.
Yeah, there's a biological tax that you pay for everything if you're trying to do things super fast. So there's some people in my circle, there's some people I'm friends with that they almost need the medication. Otherwise, they it's clear that they need the medication. It's clear that they need it. They're obese, and they can't figure out how to get along almost without it. And I've seen some of these people use the drug, lose the weight successfully, and then for some reason, because self-sabotage is kind of part of the whole thing for them, they discontinue the drug and they go back to a lot of their regular habits and they gain the weight back. There's people that are, one of the problems with some of these GLP drugs, it's just something that people should understand before they ever take them, is that the rebound can be catastrophic, because you're not only losing weight, but you're also losing muscle. So if you could picture, let's say someone had this great experience with it. They're like, man, I lost like 50 pounds. But let's say that they lost like 6 pounds of muscle in that time frame as well. Well, that might not seem like that big of a deal to someone that was like, maybe 350 pounds. Now they're 300. They might not really, care that they lost 6 pounds, but 6 pounds of muscle, that muscle tissue is really important to help regulate your glucose. It's also really helpful to your metabolism in general, because your muscle mass is going to burn a little bit more calories than your fat mass will, even though your fat mass can contribute to overall caloric burn too, because you're just heavier. So I think when somebody comes off the drug, they're really susceptible to rebound, because the body recomp that they went through wasn't significant enough. Like if a bodybuilder or some of these fitness girls and some of these bikini girls and stuff like that, they'll do things that are called, and the reason why I'm thinking about girls in this context is because they usually have a harder time putting on muscle mass. And a girl, and I've seen videos of girls, they're like, hey, I used to weigh 180, but check this out, now I weigh 180. and the 180 that they look in the second video, they look incredible.
Right.
Normally, you wouldn't think that. It sounds like that's maybe not a weight that most females would want to weigh. But after females see the video of how this girl was like squatting and deadlifting and training and eating, and how they recomp their body, then people are like, oh,
Traded fat for muscle.
right. They right in their recomp mission, they lost body fat and gained muscle mass.
Right.
Now, trying to do both at the same time is really difficult. So what a bodybuilder will do, or somebody that's going to do a recomp will do, is they'll normally spend some time gaining some weight, which most people don't want to do. Most people don't want to, and you wouldn't recommend this to someone that's obese necessarily, but in general, it's a good idea for people to go through these different period so that they can still hold a pretty significant amount of weight, be actually functionally strong, and not be withered down to looking like a melted candle.
Right. Yeah. How long have they? Do you know how long they've been doing studies on the GLP-1 stuff?
These drugs have been around for like 20 years, I think.
Okay.
I don't know specifically about like Ozempic necessarily, but these GLP-1 drugs and other drugs like it have been around for a long time.
There's so many different like brands other than Ozempic. There's another one that I heard about recently called Retatrutide. Retatrutide, yeah. So
Retatrutide represents what's referred to as a triple agonist. So they believe it has 3 different properties that are assisting with weight loss. One, I believe, is it's helping with insulin resistance. The other one, I believe, it's helping with your appetite. And then the third one is glucagon, which is supposedly, I think, helping a little bit with fat loss in the background. So Ozempic and those other drugs, they don't have components to them that necessarily have anything to do with losing body fat. They also don't have anything to do with holding or retaining muscle mass, nor do they have anything in them that would, they don't have compounds in them that are directly responsible for people losing muscle mass. What they have in them is they have compounds in them that are directly responsible for you eating way less. Something that we have to keep in mind with people that are obese is people that are obese are nutrient deficient. They are in a macronutrient surplus, but a lot of times they're in a micronutrient. They have micronutrient deficiency. They also oftentimes are protein deficient, so they're not consuming enough protein.
Right.
Again, if we go back to the recomp, if you recomp your macros,
they're just eating garbage.
They're just eating trash.
Sugar and carbs.
They're eating fat. They're eating a lot of fat, and they're eating a lot of carbohydrates.
Are they eating a lot of fat?
People are eating a lot of fat. Fat is probably the fat. If you were to point the finger at one thing, if you could point the finger at one thing, it would be fat. Because
really? Like fat, like you get in a steak?
Yes. Because go to a restaurant and try to eat anything with a reasonable amount of fat in it. It is nearly impossible. So you can go on a low carb diet and you can have your fat calories be a little higher than somebody that's consuming more carbohydrate and stuff like that. But it is really hard to navigate a menu anywhere. And think about, most people they're using DoorDash. Most people are going to restaurants. Most people never touch their oven. Most people, they might use their stovetop. They might use their barbecue, but they're not really cooking that much. They're not cooking up like chicken and steak, and they don't have options in the fridge that are like, ready to go. I mean, I just was on Gabrielle Lyon's podcast, and she's like, "Hey, what do we want for dinner?" I was like, "Oh, it'd be great to get like some steak or some salmon or something like that." And she just had it sitting in her fridge, already cooked up, a couple pounds of it each. And we got some rice and we just threw everything together, and she had some vegetables.
Wow.
And we just, and not everyone can afford to do that to that level. But back to the point is like, if people could figure out a way to lean out their foods, lean out their meats, they would be much leaner. I think that people don't understand that even 93.7 lean ground beef per pound has 32 grams of fat. Someone might be like, well, so what? 32 grams of fat isn't that much. Well, it might not be that. It might not be a crazy amount, but what about when you start to throw some cheese on there? Or what if you mixed in an egg? Or, what if you start to like throw in some other stuff? By the end of the day, you end up, and most people aren't eating 93.7 lean ground beef. Most people are eating like 80-20 lean ground beef, and that has double. So now you're talking about 64 grams of fat, and you're talking about flipping the fat calories from the protein. And we want to go the other way. We want to flip to have the protein number high or higher or as high as the fat. We don't want that protein number to be low with the fats really high.
Right. I thought what was the biggest cause of obesity was like eating pasta and shit and bread all the time. Because everyone I know that's like really like out of shape and unhealthy and overweight, they just eat tons of pasta and bread.
You can crush pasta and bread. You could crush pasta and bread. Well, so there is something that's called de novo lipogenesis, which is your body turning carbohydrates into fat. So it can happen, but that's in a caloric surplus. But you would get to that caloric surplus most likely with fat, because getting to a caloric surplus with protein is getting to a caloric surplus with protein is almost impossible. Getting to a caloric surplus with carbohydrates is more manageable, especially if you drink like a bunch of juice and things like that. But you still need fat in there probably to really push you over the edge. So if we were to if I made some chicken breast and made some rice and chopped it all up and threw it in a bowl, you'd be like, hey, that tasted pretty good. If I throw some teriyaki sauce on there, and how it tastes even better, right? Teriyaki sauce has a little sugar, a little syrupy type stuff, and makes it a little bit more palatable. You'd be like, oh, that was pretty good. But if I started with chicken thighs instead of chicken breast, like, dude, that was unbelievable. Like, that was amazing. So it's not a good idea just to label it down to one thing. It's not a good idea for me to sit here and be like, fat's the problem.
What about the fats that you get from like avocados and olive oils and shit?
It's all calorically dense. So as long as you're just aware that they're calorically dense, it's not like it's not like it's a freebie.
Wasn't that fucking guy, the Johnson guy who wants to live forever? Wasn't that dude saying like he just chugs olive oil?
Well, he sells olive oil.
Oh, he sells olive oil.
Yeah.
Okay. He was also in the Epstein files. He's innocent. It's most likely he's innocent. There was like one. He
seemed like an okay guy. I like the experiments and stuff that he's doing. There's been a lot of people who have talked about olive oil over the years, but like, I don't think that we should be consuming oil, period. I just don't think oil is a good idea.
Really?
Like, what do we need?
You don't think olive oil is great? I thought it was like consensus that olive oil is like amazing for you.
I don't think that. I'm not saying that olive oil is bad. I just don't really think that we really need much oil in our diet. So yeah, olive oil, sure, like have some here and there. If you want to be able to make it through eating some vegetables and throwing some olive oil on there makes it a little bit better, then go for it. Yeah, olive oil does have some monounsaturated fats in it that are great. It also has polyphenols in it that are great. But what's not a deficiency in most people's diet is fat. They're already consuming a lot of fat. So I would agree with you 100% and say, yeah, let's trade out some of those crappy fats that you're probably eating for otherwise better fats. Because I think that your food choices, that's always been my belief, that your food choices are number one. But I also think that when it comes to, I hear Rogan all the time talking about pasta, and I'm like, man, I want to get back on the show because I want to talk to him about, you can crush pasta all day. You can crush pasta all day. It's just that you're going to have to make it lower fat, so it's not going to be as good. There's going to be some.
How do you make pasta lower fat?
I make pasta like very, very low fat all the time. And the way that I do it is I usually use 93.7 lean ground beef, and I usually use, because you usually have pasta with something, right? You don't just eat the pasta by itself. But pasta doesn't have any fat in it in the first place.
Right.
Now, pasta might have other shit in it where people are like,
what about flour, bro?
What about the glyphosate? And what about, there's definitely, the jury's still out on glyphosate. There needs to be more information. I do think that has a negative impact on us. Flour, maybe not as much, but these are just some of my beliefs. I think that you can crush, like, what would the difference be between pasta and rice other than the fact, okay, this is flour versus the rice maybe being like more natural or something, but they're both carbohydrates.
There's certainly something about pasta that makes me feel like I got hit by a truck after I eat it.
It's
here. When I go to like another country and do it, I don't feel like that.
I know a lot of people have reported that, and I would be interested to see if they felt the same way if they had pasta at my house, because I don't cook it with as much fat. I think that's the problem. I think I'm Italian too, just like Rogan, and my grandma made, these awesome, meatballs with sauce, and we'd make this amazing pasta, and the sauce, is red. It's like bright red, but it would turn like orange because it had all that oily fat in there from the meatballs and from the whatever the heck else she threw in there. And to me, that's what gets you. It's a combination. So you could say the same thing about ice cream. Say, man, if I eat like a big bowl of ice cream, I'm freaking done. Well, you're done from ice cream because it has carbs and fats in it. You're done from pasta because it has carbs and fats in it. So as soon as you're able to eliminate some of the main perpetrators of going over your calories for each day, even though I don't love the calorie equation, but it is a thing. It is like an important metric to kind of have there. And you know, like if you were to consume a reasonable amount. So the other thing that happens is if I pull the fat out of food, you're maybe not going to be as satisfied as you normally are, but you'll be satiated. And I'll say, hey, you want another bowl? And you'll be like, nah. Because it's not like insanely delicious. And I know that pulls some of the reward out of it.
If you pull the fat out.
If I pull the fat out, it doesn't have the same, it's not going to taste as good, which is actually like sometimes the goal is to make things.
How much fat is there in Doritos?
Oh, it's disgusting. It's through the roof. Look, I mean, start to look some stuff up. Look up Snickers.
I want to know how much fat is in a bag of Doritos. What's the fat contents?
So you can't make. They wouldn't be able to figure out a way to make. They wouldn't be able to figure out a way to make Doritos have more calories come from carbohydrates than it does have calories from fat. Even if you were to dump a box of sugar on it, even if you dump water and sugar, it would still end up having. A
small bag is 8 grams total, 1 gram saturated. Okay.
Yep, and these things, they just add up. And 8 grams of fat, so what? That's not a huge deal, right?
Is that? I don't know. I don't know if it is or not.
If you're paying attention, like, 8 grams of fat.
So by weight, a regular Dorito is approximately 28 to 29% fat with 1 gram saturated fat.
It's
that's bonkers.
The amount of what's the macros? Can you find the macros? So fat grams 8, and you got 20 grams of carbs, but you got to remember that fat yields about 9 calories per gram, right?
Interesting.
So yeah, it's the fat that's really got us. Again, if people that are listening, people that want to make some changes, I mean, that would be my first. Obviously, cut back on like just bullshit eating. Eating like a kid and
eating out, cook at home.
Cook at home.
Yeah.
But again, what is cooking at home going to do? It's just going to pull the fat out of your food. When you go to a restaurant, I've been behind the scenes at really fancy restaurants. I've actually like cooked with chefs and seen what they do. They put so much oil on everything. Your vegetables, I mean, they put oil on. They don't know how to make stuff. They almost don't know how to make stuff at all without dumping a bunch of oil on stuff. And they're usually using shitty oil.
Yes. Yeah. No, I used to work at a pizza shop, dude. I know what happens behind the scenes. It's not good. And the deep fryers, who knows what kind of oil. And they don't, not only do they use shitty oil in all the deep fryers, but they replace it like once a week maybe.
Right.
So the oil is fucking nasty, dude.
I think people need to, when you have a kid, you're trying to like child-proof your home. Mm-hmm. I think you need to like defat your house, defat your life. You need to figure out a way. I say this pretty often, like put a kettlebell in your living room. Now it doesn't mean like you need to have an actual kettlebell in your living room, but it just means have good access to equipment, to things that you're setting out to try to actually do, like actually follow through and do them.
Right.
You're going to end up with a lot of fatigue from making decisions and making choices and pulling something out of your garage, your jump rope or whatever it is. It's just easier to have your jump rope on your back porch. Yep. And that way, okay, I go out and I jump rope. Oh, it's raining today. I'm going to go back inside and mess around with the kettlebell or something. You have all these choices and options around you. And then same thing with your food choices. Like try to have, it's not that hard it feels like it's really hard. And when you're not used to it, it can be really challenging.
And Seema said his whole house is like a gym, like a gymnasium. He says he's got rings all throughout his house that he gets around on. Have you seen it?
Yeah, he does. He does.
He's a freak.
Yeah, he does. He does. And he and I love all this stuff. So
yeah,
we're gonna take some things to the extreme. But having some lean meat in your freezer, like it's not hard to just pull some lean meat out in the morning, let it thaw out, come back home later and cook it up. Like it's easy. And I find that the foods taste really good. So yeah, fat is something that I'm a keto person. Like originally, like that's where I that's where I lost a lot of weight, was through some keto dieting. But I learned quickly that it was still wise for me to pay attention to the overall amount of fats I was consuming. So what I usually try to recommend for most people to try to do is, I think the average person has like 160 or 180 grams of fat in a day or something like that. So just try to go under 100.
Have you ever tried to go multiple days with no food?
Yeah, I've done a 5-day fast before. Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was maybe just like, maybe unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think it's a good exercise. I think it's a good discipline exercise. And I think it's probably really good for your mind and your body. I think it's good for your body too. I mean, I think like giving your digestive system the break every once in a while, because you're constantly digesting shit, you know, like to give it a 5-day break is probably a really good reset.
I think it can be. I mean, I think that, again, I think from a mental standpoint, it's probably not a bad idea. I would say that,
like imagine if you were able to give your heart like a week reset, just let your heart rest and you could stay alive. You know what I mean?
I think that maybe if someone's compromised, it might have a better impact.
Sure.
But I think in general, my brother said this a long time ago about some people that we were talking about all these like influencer people, and we were talking about these people that, these people that do all these hacks, biohacking and all these things. And my brother's like, they don't really have an advantage over anybody else. And I was like, wow, that's like the most profound shit you've ever said in your life, because you're right. What advantage does somebody have by pulling a bunch of blood out of their system and then holding up a bag of gunk? The verdict's still out. We don't know what that does. We don't know what these GLP-1 drugs are doing. Seems like it's making people healthier. It is having a fairly positive impact on people's blood work. There are negative ramifications of people losing some bone density. There's people are losing weight too fast. Some of these things you keep in mind, they happen with fast weight loss typically anyway. But that's the stuff that I look at. Like I do a lot of things. I don't know if I necessarily have a big advantage over somebody that really doesn't do anything other than small practices of just some movement and not overeating.
I heard that those GLP drugs, one of the biggest things they do is reduce overall desire. And that's what's making people not eat, because they just don't have that desire, that hunger.
It can wipe out the reward system a bit. I think the thing to keep in mind.
Can you look into that, Steve?
Yeah, I think the thing to keep in mind there is that, and this is all great. You know, we were just looking up the stuff on Kratom, and it looked like maybe I had some stuff wrong, and then we showed some other stats, and you and I are talking about potentially being addicted to it and stuff like that. I think this is all good to like, let's get all this stuff out on the table. Let's try to be truthful and transparent with these things as best we can. But with these GLP-1 drugs, most of the research that's coming out is on people that are taking like full dosages. So it's with people that are taking large amounts. I'm not saying that information doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that for people that we might know that are utilizing these drugs to lose a couple pounds or using these drugs for other reasons, maybe they're not going to have the same negative sides because maybe they won't take as much. Just like we could say the same thing about testosterone. You know, you mentioned having some concerns of having some negative side effects of taking the amounts of testosterone that someone would take for TRT.
Right.
And I would say, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's like perfectly safe. Like that doesn't make any sense. But to think that it's too low of a dosage for me to say the opposite. It's too low of a dosage for me to be like, oh my God, you do have like some serious concerns with that. Like you should really be paying attention to that. And I think the same thing with these GLP-1 drugs. The more that you take, then obviously the more.
Steve, what did you search for to get this?
What does it do?
No. Type in GLP-1s reduced desire.
Well, they show that it reduced desire, and they think it might cause divorce because some people are experiencing less desire for sex and stuff like that.
GLP-1 receptor agonists like Ozempic can reduce desire for food, addictive substances, and sometimes sex by acting on the brain's reward circuit, specifically reducing dopamine-driven wanting and food, quote, food noise, whatever the fuck that is. By altering serotonin levels and influencing reward-seeking behaviors, they can decrease cravings for food, alcohol, nicotine, and sometimes sexual desire, often described as a generalized dampening of impulsive cravings. That's interesting.
Reducing dopamine.
How does that?
So maybe if we take these GLP-1 drugs, but we also...
That's where my conspiracy brain goes wild. Like, is the government just trying to like dampen us down? But no, but that doesn't really make sense though, because look at phones. These are the ultimate like dopamine slot machines ever.
Right. Yeah, I know.
That's why, you know, it's like we're stuck to these things because we're constantly getting dopamine from swiping up and down. So if these things are decreasing dopamine,
right,
that would be like... If you wanted to pacify society, that's the opposite of what you would do. So
I think all we have to do for that is throw some Kratom back in the mix.
Let's just give him something else.
And then we're going to be
keep him on that hamster wheel.
Yep. Let's see. My brother gave us a little report back about, he gave me like kind of a long one.
What did he say?
It seems like you're a better reader than me. You might be able to crank through that.
What did you ask him?
I asked him about the 7-OH stuff.
It's a crazy story because the FDA claims it's a victory that banned it in Florida and people would get on Suboxone to get off. But in the past 2 years, Suboxone prescriptions have not risen at all. The other drug, Narcan, is a big help in saving people, but it only saves you in the final minutes of life, and it pulls you out of a fentanyl overdose. It doesn't help normal people step down from drugs. Suboxone is a great tool, but it's way more addictive and hard to get off of than 7-OH. The answer is to allow both 7-OH to be available and ibogaine treatment. Not everyone wants to get off painkillers. I've heard a lot of people have died from ibogaine. I've heard ibogaine's very dangerous. Not everyone wants to get off painkillers either because they're just in pain. That's kind of where I'm at. The only plus to Suboxone is that you don't really crave it and won't take it 20 times a day, but you're also still in pain. It helps a little with pain, but also makes you a zombie. I lost over 40 pounds because I can work out while using 7-OH, and I can't and don't want to do anything if I don't take it. Wow. It's also a good idea for people with pain to use plain leaf kratom and just use 7-OH when you really need it.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting perspective. I mean, we sometimes forget, I think our bodies feel good. I don't have a lot of pain.
No, I don't either.
And we forget that there's a whole subset of people that are like, there's people that are in physical pain and there's people with mental pain, and those have to be addressed in some way. Otherwise, it does make it a lot harder to get up off the couch. Having a brother that's, compromised in this way, gives me sympathy towards that. And I always kind of think of like, you think of the greatest athletes of all time, the people that we really look up to, the Michael Jordans and the Tom Brady's and some of these people that have these, really crazy engines and looks like they can go all day. I wonder if you were to inject them with a bunch of pain, how excited they would be to do, or inject me with a bunch of pain or you with a bunch of pain, just chronic systemic pain, like almost pain like that you have when you're sick, like how your back feels tight and you trying to sleep it off and all that stuff. And you don't want to get up and get after it.
Right.
And so there's a lot of people that suffer from those things. And I think the GLP-1s, performance enhancing drugs, everything from testosterone to, these companies that are allowed to, read your blood work, interpret it, and then give you like testosterone and stuff. I think they should open the floodgates. They should be able to give you everything. Why not? Let's have more access to more stuff. They're giving you unregulated and giving you access to peptides and stuff that they probably shouldn't be because they're not FDA approved. So why wouldn't we open up the floodgates to allow for the doctor to prescribe you Trenbolone or whatever it is that you want?
Right.
I think, again, as long as you're maybe aware of what the potential harms are, and everyone should just know this about any drug that you ever touch, ever take. If you're ever going to try anything, just try the littlest amount possible. So that way you don't screw yourself up. And then the other thing would be, think about it in logical terms. Like, are you going to be doing this the next 5 years? Do you want to do this forever? Because I'm in a situation that I don't think is great. I've been on testosterone for 25 years. And
You can't get. Why don't you take a break?
I should. I just haven't.
Could you?
So I have taken a break. So I haven't been on it for 25 straight years. I had my daughter in between, so there was a period of time where I was off. I also came off for experimental reasons years ago for a few months as
After
well.
how many years of being on it?
Probably a good 15 years or so.
Did you get blood work when you went off of it to see if your natural numbers bounce back?
So I wasn't, I don't think I was off it long enough. When I was off it to have my daughter Quinn, she's 18 now, so it was a long time ago. But when
but you had been on when you had your daughter, when you got off to have your daughter, you had been on for how long?
Yeah, I don't know the exact age.
Roughly, how many years?
Like at least 10 years.
At
Probably.
least 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I came off for probably about a year, but I don't know if I was off for long enough. And at that time, that was so long ago. At the time, I wasn't routinely getting blood work done. You got to remember, blood work stuff is like 5 years old, and it's really not that old, But I've been getting blood work done for maybe closer to like 8 years. So yeah, I didn't quite have blood work done back in that exact time frame, but
Right.
I've come off like maybe one other time, but basically I've been on for like 25 years. And so for people that are listening and people that are like, oh, I want to be a little bit bigger, I want to be a little bit stronger, steroids or whatever drug you take, there might be some drugs that work outside of this framework, but my understanding is that all drugs and all diets, they only work while you're doing them.
Right.
So once you discontinue the thing that worked for you losing weight, or once you discontinued the thing that helped you build muscle, whether it be creatine or whether it be testosterone
Right.
or other performance enhancing drugs, once you stop them, you will lose your results, all the way to the point where you might go back. You might go back beyond being worse off than you were before, which is kind of scary territory. You're like, oh shit, that kind of sucks.
Right.
Now there's ways that you can fend that off, and there's ways that you can strategically, maybe eat in a little bit of like you're going to gain some body fat, but you might be able to eat strategically in a caloric surplus. You might be able to try to do other healthy habits, really make sure you're sleeping a lot. Maybe you can try some like boron or something like that as a supplement that can help raise your free testosterone. So maybe there's some things you can do that could safely provide a safety net for you, but more than likely, you're not going to be the same. And for me, I just don't feel like I'm ready for that yet. Like I feel so good with my training. I feel so good with my running. I feel so good with all the stuff that's going on, and even just my mental capacity. And I've talked to some friends about it. I've talked to some like experts and stuff, and they're like, yeah, they're like, for you, like if that, it's like you're so positive all the time, and if that positive side drops out, I've always been positive. I've never been like a negative person. I've always been relatively happy. I've always been pretty calm and stuff like that too. And so my concern is that some of that would like drop off, and I know that I would still train through it and around it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't come to grips with that yet. But I do realize like I'm addicted to them. I'm addicted to steroids. And I said it in my brother's movie, like I'll be on and off them the rest of my life because I'm hooked on them. So people should be aware, like steroids are, and let's spell it out for everybody too. Steroids and testosterone are basically synonymous. There's some argument over that because there's some argument over like the structure and the chemical and there's some people that could probably argue that they're not the same thing.
You're taking,
but it's an anabolic steroid.
You're taking something that your body naturally produces, right? You're not taking like something that's not natural to the body, like kratom. Your body doesn't produce kratom. Your body doesn't produce opioids, right? Does it?
Your body has opioid receptors.
Right. But like,
I mean, so for some
or
reason,
like nicotine. Your body doesn't produce nicotine or caffeine.
Yeah.
Those are things you take. Like
Yeah.
testosterone is a natural producing hormone in the body, and you're just tinkering with that level.
So that's the argument for testosterone. But then sometimes people say, hey, well, don't take melatonin. It's like, don't take melatonin.
Right.
You want to mess with your natural melatonin levels.
Right.
But I know Dr. Dom, he actually has been, Dominic D'Agostino, he's been using melatonin for many years.
Has he? I didn't know that.
And he researched it, and I think he did like he's he's incredibly smart.
Yeah, he's a wizard.
He's done a lot of research on it, but in his experience, he hasn't seen it lower his own melatonin. There's some people that say the same thing about vitamin D. Like, you shouldn't take vitamin D because your body is supposed to make it naturally. You're supposed to get it from the sun. Maybe it's not supposed to be revved up and cranked up all the time. We can justify all this stuff as much as we want. And I love.
Look, human beings have been tinkering with their biology since the beginning of recorded history. That's a fact.
Right.
And we're still doing it now. And people have had the same lifespan forever. When we talk about, like Marcus Aurelius was famous for taking all kinds of performance enhancing drugs, because back then in whenever that was, like the 2nd, 3rd century or whatever, people were always getting assassinated with venoms and poisons and shit. So this dude was drinking snake venom on the daily mixed with opium to increase his immunity. People were doing that all over the place in the ancient world, like drinking fucking venoms and stuff to just enhance their immunity, because people were always getting bit by snakes and people were always getting poisoned by other people.
This is crazy.
So like, it's just crazy that the idea of PEDs or performance enhancing drugs is so ancient. Right. And we're still doing it. It's like, it's a natural thing that we want to do. We want to naturally improve we want to optimize our function and what we do and get like physically better or mentally better than our baseline.
It makes you wonder, why do we have the makeup that we have?
Yeah.
Why I think the body produces DMT.
Yeah.
Right. It's like something that
that's another thing that we've been doing since the beginning of recording is fucking eating shit and tripping our balls off.
Right. And then why do we have these like receptors to where it like works that way with us?
Yeah. Right.
Like, why do you get
the serotonin 2A receptor or whatever that's like responsible for us tripping on, with DMT and with like psilocybin and mushroom? Like, how is there this thing that grows out of the ground that literally will catapult your consciousness into another dimension, and you'll see entities and shit that you can't see in normal waking consciousness?
And then there's people that see the same.
The same stuff.
They see the same little elves or whatever,
or
right?
like communicate with like weird entities that like, and have profound insights, that can be life changing. It's pretty fucking crazy, dude.
And that, I mean, for me, that's what testosterone's been for me. It's been life altering. It's been like it's been really fun to do it. If it shortens my life in some way, I mean, I guess that would suck in some ways, especially if it shortened it to the point where I die tomorrow. But at the same time, I feel like I've gotten such cool opportunities, and a lot of those opportunities are from the drugs.
Well, how old is Arnold?
He's 70. He's probably 80.
How old is Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I know that Stallone is 80.
And those dudes abuse the shit out of steroids, right?
For sure.
Those dudes were on insane amounts.
Yeah.
When they were like in their teens, right? Arnold was on that shit when he was like 18, 17.
He's 78 years old.
Oh, wow. Our birthdays are one day apart.
Oh, did you see his son competed? His son that's what's his son's name?
Patrick?
It's not Patrick.
Okay.
It's his there we go. Joseph, yeah.
Oh, he's a different last name?
He's the son that was born from the
But why didn't he take his dad's name?
It's complicated.
Oh yeah, I follow this guy on Instagram. It's so crazy how much he looks like his dad.
Oh yeah.
So is he all natural?
I don't know.
Look at his dad next to him.
You know, isn't that crazy?
That's the cutout of his dad, right? On the right.
Yeah, Arnold was insane
Click
because
No, it's a wax. Oh, it's a 3D wax sculpture. Wow, dude.
Arnold was insane because of the waist. You know, the small
waist to shoulder
and the chest and the biceps. And there was a couple other bodybuilders back at that time that really emphasized that. And you don't really, people don't really do that as much anymore. I know that Nsima, you know, when he was bodybuilding and still, I mean, Nsima he just has a great
he's
physique.
one of the most physically impressive human beings I've ever seen.
Unbelievable. To have a small waist is like a thing. Like that's a big deal. And a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of good bodybuilders have a small waist, but over the years, some of those guys got more blocky.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of got, which is, they're still impressive. They still have massive arms and massive delts and everything, but they don't have that. Because Arnold had a look that was unique, you know, and he had a look that I think all the way until Chris Bumstead, I don't think we've seen anything even remotely close to what Arnold had.
Damn it, my brother was showing me this guy yesterday. He's on Instagram.
His bicep is insane at peak.
Yeah, look at it compared to his son.
Yeah.
Is his son on anything?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I mean, if Arnold has lived this long, he's 80 years old, right? Can't be that bad. I mean, and that guy's abused the shit out of some stuff.
Yeah, I do think that, like,
So this is the housekeeper's son?
There you go.
Okay.
I think that these guys, you know, they did take less than what people take now. They didn't have as much different stuff. And I think it was also like less known what these things could do. Arnold did have a heart issue a few years ago. I don't know if Stallone has had that before. But like bodybuilders, interestingly enough, it's pretty rare to hear of a bodybuilder dying from cancer. But bodybuilders having like a heart attack is
common.
It's more common, but then unfortunately there's other things tied to it as well.
Right.
So it makes it hard.
It's a cascading thing when your body starts to get huge.
Yeah. And also some of these guys, they end up taking other recreational drugs on top of.
Right.
Because years ago it was really popular for a lot of these guys to train in the gym and to be like on Nubain and painkillers and all kinds of stuff because, you know, their back hurt, but it was, you know, a day to train deadlifts or whatever.
Right.
And they had to, you know,
I was talking to Nsima about this. All these fucking athletes I learned recently are on Adderall, like NFL players.
Oh yeah.
They're freaking geeked on Adderall. I was like, I never expected Adderall to be a performance like a physical enhancing drug. But I mean, you can look at the photos of like Derrick Henry running with the ball, and you see his eyes, dude.
His eyeballs.
And even Antonio Brown. If you look at like the close-ups of when he's running with the football, dude, his eyes are popping out of his skull.
So there's drugs too that just allow you better access to your central nervous system, like we talked about in the very beginning. So there's things that can, you know, make you more explosive. There's things that can make you react a little bit better. I forget what the label, like the official label use of some of these drugs are, but the off-label use is to use them for performance enhancement.
Right.
The off-label use is to use it to be, you know, a little bit stronger. Adderall would probably fall into that category. But
that's another thing that's like, I think is overly prescribed because I know so many kids who are prescribed Adderall.
Massively. And then, you know, you get back to something like Kratom. You're like, would it be worse to take Kratom?
Right.
Over Adderall? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Because Adderall is certainly addictive. It's like meth. It's got the same ingredients as methamphetamine. It's an amphetamine, like by definition.
Yeah. And when you think about some of this stuff just has to do with like morals. You know, you're trying to think like you're not trying to necessarily judge other people's morals, but you're just trying to judge your own morals. You get to a point where you're like, yeah, I'm drinking too many of these. Like this isn't the right, I'm a dad and I got these responsibilities and maybe I should talk to somebody about that. Maybe I should put that to the side for a little while. But then you got other things that you justify and it still gets past the goalie somehow where you're you know, you're drinking the caffeine and you're still having beer here and there or whatever. And it's like, I don't know how I think the fact that some of the things are even on your radar, I think is healthy. You know, when people think about microplastics and they think about whether their food is grass-fed, grass-finished and some of those things, I think, hey, at least you're at least you're starting to think about it. At least you're starting to kind of like head in that direction. I don't know how paranoid we need to be about it, because to a certain degree, why not enjoy your time here? As you were pointing out earlier, I think the Bible says like we live into our 70s, and I think for a male, I think late 70s is still the is still
the lifespan today of humans uninterrupted is the same as it was in antiquity, in ancient Greece. So it's like
it's relatively the same.
But obviously back then there was more deaths because of plague and famine and combat and shit.
I know for myself, like I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I was like, you know, I think I would just rather be killed. I'd rather go to another country and just be injected with whatever, and just because I know I think you can do that in Oregon too.
Suicide? I mean, the assisted suicide shit?
Yeah, I think I'd rather.
Have you seen the commercial for that? Dude, look up the assisted suicide commercial. Is
it great?
Fucking terrifying. Dude, it's so fucked up. It's so weird
It'd be like the alternate universe of you not making that decision, and then you live another 20 years.
It's amazing that I was watching it. I was just astonished that it was real. Like I could have never imagined.
Just people dying in the hospital is just it's sad to me. It's really sad. You know, you like, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you did. You know, you could have done all these amazing things in your life, helped all these people and done all these things, and then you're 70 something and you hurt yourself and end up in a hospital.
Throw the cans on so you can hear it. This is fucking little Twilight Zone shit.
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it.
Damn.
What? Again, a commercial for people to kill themselves.
Is that lady dead?
I don't know, but she certainly wasn't old.
Yeah. Well, it's probably for people that can no longer handle the pain, or people that can no longer handle being here. You know, I think some of the angst of like seeing so much stuff on social media can sometimes be like overwhelming. And I think we're not designed to like be able to handle that necessarily. We can handle a lot of stuff, but handling interaction with so many different people and so much different news, everything's kind of like becoming like one. Everything's like worldly. When I was a kid, it was like just, you know, the United States over everybody else, and you just ran over everybody else and didn't care about the other countries. Mm-hmm. And that's really probably all the time that you have to be able to, that's really all the energy that you have is to like worry about yourself and the neighbor next to you or the people that you care about and love. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, if there's a problem in the world, it's like everyone's problem. And there's so many different things going on at once. I would imagine there's a lot of people who not only get sick, but there's people who aren't sick that are just like, take me out. I just don't want to be here anymore. And I wonder if those people like qualify for that, or I wonder how you, you know what I mean? I wonder how you get. My oldest brother used to say he didn't want to be here anymore.
I think it's the sign of a civilization in decline.
Yeah.
When there's corporations.
Right.
That are advertising for you to end your life.
It's definitely weird to see an ad for it.
It's that fourth turning thing. You know that phrase, what is it? Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men create hard times. I think right at this junction that we're at in history, at least in American history, we're like at the time where you're seeing like everything is so good and easy, it's starting to create difficult times for people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if anything goes backwards at all, we'll be really, we'll be really.
And
screwed.
we're also like, and we're exposed to everything across the world. Any kind of like war, any kind of conflict, any kind of genocide, and like corruption. Like we're more aware of how corrupt our government is than ever before. Like we're more like, and it's to the point where like it can be transparent. We can be exposed to all of it, and we will still disagree on whether it's real or not. Like we don't know.
Oh, we're at a really
what's
weird,
up and down.
We're at a really weird point now, because how do you know if something's real?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very difficult to sift through and to try to learn what's real and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, years ago, I started to see what happened to some of my friends that were climbing the social media ladder. They were doing great on YouTube and doing great on these other platforms. And I decided for myself to like, I recognized that a lot of those friends weren't happy. And some of them were even like, you know, borderline suicidal. And I was like, well, I don't think I have it in me to become quite like that. But at the same time, I should be proactive, and I should try to work on, I should sort of like investigate and work on this and work on my mind. And I looked up some like normal stuff. I looked up some stuff on like stoicism, and some of that stuff helped and things like that. But as I kept kind of diving down the rabbit hole, I started to discover more and more things that I think were helpful for me in being able to like balance my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the word that comes to mind is equanimity. And equanimity is having a balanced mind in the face of basically mayhem and chaos and things that other people would otherwise recognize as being detrimental to like their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've worked on it for it takes a long time to work on it, but and some people have kind of said before, they'll say, oh, well, you don't seem to care about anything. It's like, well, you know, it's not that I don't care about anything. It's that I'm able to pause and then select how I react to something. I don't just react to something because I thought that this thing should piss me off, or I allowed myself to get like triggered by something. So
Yeah.
I actually will use social media sometimes as like a training ground for equanimity. I'll use it as a training ground to work on my mind, to work on having that balance, because it's easy to get pulled in one direction or the other if you have previous beliefs that are getting challenged. The most logical thing for most people is to get mad. But for me, what's helped me to become more open-minded over the years, and to even potentially understand that some of the powerlifting and some of the things that I did, maybe I did them to such an extreme that it wasn't great or healthy for me. And then I've, learned all these other things, and then people are like, this guy's lost his mind. It's not so much that I've lost my mind. It's just that I've become more open to these other possibilities because I'm constantly examining what I previously thought to be true. And now I don't think that anything's true. I think all the stuff that I've learned is more loosely the truth that I hold for now.
Right.
Yeah. I keep trying to make it better.
Your beliefs should not be your identity.
Right.
Especially in politics. Because like politics is so fake. When people make their political beliefs their personal identity, that's when you've lost. Because you can't have a rational, reasonable conversation about anything, because anyone who challenges that idea is challenging you, and you will just argue till the end of time,
right?
For the sake of it, right? There's no goal to get to the truth, and you end up just spinning your wheels, and it's very dumb.
Yeah, I think you said the word, and the word's rational.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to be rational, trying to have a rational response to.
Yeah.
I mean, even like a few years ago, my YouTube channel got taken down, and it was just like, it's actually really strange, but we listed a peptide company in like the somewhere in the YouTube video. We listed it in text. Like we had a clickable link.
Like you linked to it, yeah.
To a peptide company, which is funny now because there's how many peptide companies. This was like, a few years back. But yeah, our whole YouTube channel got shut down. It was our YouTube channel that's for the podcast. And so it was a big deal, but I made a video talking about it, and I'm like, I'm not sweating it, because people were like mad. They were like really mad. They're like, man, we love your content. Like, this sucks. And then
That does suck.
Other,
Did you get it back?
Other influencers came around, and they made videos about it. And like, I can't believe what's happened to Mark Bell. His YouTube got taken down. He seems like he's a good guy. Seems like he's always trying to help people. And people were really like flipping out about it. And I was like, hey, look, this is what happened. And yeah, I could sit here and be really mad about it. But I can also just sit here and think about what are the strategies I can do moving forward to either get the channel back or to just start another one. What other options do I have? I can sit here and like cry about it or get mad about it or kick something or punch a hole in the wall, but it's just going to hurt my hand and I'll have to get the wall fixed. So yeah, that's the way I try to look at things. And I did get the channel back because I was just like, well, let me just think about it for a minute. And then a fan hit me up and the fan was like, hey, I work for YouTube. He's like, I don't think you really did anything that's that bad. So he's like, I think I can get the channel back. And then it was probably like a week later that he got the channel back. But yeah, I don't think it's worth, I don't think a lot of things are really worth overreacting to. I think, when my kids were, like I can say this with confidence. I can say that my son has seen me mad and I'm not proud of that. But my daughter, I don't think ever has.
Seen you mad?
Yeah. Seen me mad or like thrown off of my normal behavior, I guess you'd say. So yeah, I mean, if you try to live your life kind of thinking that, like you have kids, so how cool would it be if your kids, when they're older, especially like your 1-year-old, if when she's 20, she's like, Dad, I never seen you overreact, never seen you. Maybe your other ones have, because maybe your kid is driven. Like any parents out there, kids can drive you absolutely insane. So it's understandable to be seen as being mad or seen as being irrational or unreasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, all you can control is yourself and your own body and your own emotions and your own world, right? And everything extrapolates from there. If you have no control over your own life, over your own health, over your own mental well-being, then like you got to have that, you got to be like, have that figured out first before you can figure anything else. Like if you don't have a handle or a good grip on your own life, you're not going to be able to have a grip or a handle on external things like social media or anything else in the world, right? You're going to be unmanageable.
I think it's incredible to know that we don't have control over anything outside of just our own thinking.
Right.
And then there's even parts of your own thinking that you don't necessarily have control over, since you have like you got your subconscious and and you got things that are just kind of always playing in the background that are weird, like just weird thoughts. You're in the coffee shop and you're like, I wonder what would happen if I just punch this guy in the head.
Right. Yeah.
Or if I just like beat the hell out of the barista for some, like, I don't know why you think these crazy things.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just think something totally wild for some random reason. And there's like weird thoughts that just come to you on a walk or taking a dump or whatever that happen. But other than that, we do get to think about our thoughts, and we do get to take a moment to like process stuff. And I think a really good example, and probably something that people might be able to identify with the most, is text messaging. If you get a text message that comes at you and you feel like it's a little sideways or whatever, it just throws you off a bit, you just take a minute. Like, you don't need to answer it right then. Like whatever you were about to do, go ahead and like finish doing that. And maybe you did see it. Maybe it kind of perturbed you a little bit. Maybe you're like, oh, what the F does this guy want? This is annoying. Just give it a minute. And then you'll probably realize like, oh, well, there's not a whole lot of punctuation there. He just fired me a text and he probably doesn't mean anything by it.
Right.
I have a joke with a couple of my friends where we just say no. Like no means you're mad. Like if you're like, hey, Mark, want to lift? And I just replied no, he'd be like, oh man, maybe maybe something
what a
happened.
Dick.
Yeah, right. But because I have to give you context, like that's the world that we're in.
Right.
And that wouldn't happen though if we called each other. I'd say no. It turns out I'm like running late and I can't make time to do it or whatever. But texting, can sometimes throw you off. So texting is like a pretty low form of communication. And I think we need to recognize that. And if texting is throwing you off, then go to the next level. Give someone a call.
Do a voice text.
Or voice text. I love voice text.
I know, they're great.
Or FaceTime. Right? Like you can keep going higher up. You could actually just meet in person. Hey, that's somebody's trying to like bring something up that's maybe controversial or touchy and say, hey, that's a great subject. Let's talk. I can't wait to talk to you about that when I see you on Saturday. And just deflated the whole thing rather than like going back and forth or nasty emails or texts or whatever.
Yeah, the more disconnected you are from people when you're communicating, the more difficult it's going to be to know intent. Like intent gets thrown, you lose all that when the more separation you have from people, whether it be through screens or be through text messages or phone calls or whatever. And it's really crazy when you extrapolate that into like the dating world and how young people nowadays are like doing more and more of the online swipe dating or whatever it is with like Hinge and all those all those apps. And it's funny, I had this lady on the podcast a couple months back, maybe actually close to a year ago probably, who's a evolutionary biologist, and she studies like evolution and reproduction and all that stuff. And she was a part of a study where they took a group of women and they called it the sweaty t-shirt study. Have you heard of this?
I haven't.
It's where they gave a group of women a bunch of different sweaty t-shirts from different guys, like their different sweats, like different sweat from different guys. And they all smelled the sweaty shirts and had to rank how attracted they were to the stench of the sweaty shirt. And there was like 1 to 10. And they took that data from the women and then they took their DNA and they took the DNA of the men who sweated those sweaty shirts. And what they found was the women who found the certain man's sweat more attractive, they found that their immune systems were a better fit. So like the immune system of the woman where she was deficient, that man's sweat would make up for it. If they were to reproduce, they would have a more, they would have a baby with a more robust, like fully rounded immune system.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. And like, if you do, so if you're dating and you're not being around that person and like smelling them or like whatever, seeing the way they move, it's like you're missing so many cues. And I know that happens, and again, that gets thrown off when you have women on like birth control, right? Because the birth control, I know, throws off the woman's like desire, their hormonal balance, and all that.
Probably changes their ability to smell.
I've heard stories of women that are on birth control and like they meet their significant other and they get married, and then she gets off birth control and she's like no longer attracted to this guy.
I've heard of that before too.
It's crazy. It's crazy how all of that stuff.
But then we also have like perfumes and
that masks your natural pheromones, right?
Wearing a lot of stuff, but sometimes the other options aren't great either. Like I know some people that are like very holistic and they don't wear anything, and I'm like, that dude just stinks all the time, man. Like he does not it's bad, And I know that smell probably represents something. It probably meant something,
some dudes like that though.
Many years ago, but you're like, dude, that's
some dudes like hairy girls, like girls with armpit hair that like are sweaty. Do you have any friends like that?
I don't know. I probably do without them.
I have friends like that. I have friends that manly girls.
I have friends that
rugged gals.
So I used to have my gym, Super Training Gym, which was a gym I had for over a decade that was free, that we had in Sacramento. I used to have it at this gym called Midtown Strength and Conditioning. And it was like the entrance was through my side of the gym. And my side of the gym, Super Training, was maybe about 2,000 square feet. And it was like all powerlifting stuff. Places to do your squats, places to do your benches, places to do your deadlifts. And everything just looked, everything was kind of like intimidating. There's like quotes on the wall and all this kind of stuff. But the women, in the area, because it was like in downtown Sacramento, many of them worked at the Capitol building. And then they would come through when they walk through our side of the gym. You know, most of my team being on like testosterone and like, these guys, you know, very much a locker room kind of environment. I mean, they wouldn't ever say anything directly to the girls or anything weird like that. They were more chill than that. But you know, a girl would walk in and someone would be like, "Oh my God, like I love short girls," and then the next girl would walk in and like, "Oh my God, I love girls that are tall," and then I'm like, "Okay, I get it." You just like any female that's going to walk through the door, pretty much, you know. So that's my experience with most of my friends. So they probably would be into hairy, you know, more bulky. They'd probably be into just any and all. Sign them up for all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like being on stuff like testosterone or whatever probably changes things to a degree too. Like changes your preferences to girls.
It's crazier than that. It's way crazier than that. So Trenbolone. I mean, I don't know if you can look this up. I don't know if this is like known, but like Trenbolone, they believe can make you gay.
Really? Why do so many bodybuilders have like those high pitched voices? Have you noticed
like
that?
A male bodybuilder?
Male bodybuilder, they have kind of like a high pitched voice like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
not Arnold, clearly.
Steroids will
some guys.
Steroids will change. It will change so much about you. It definitely will change your voice. You know, when I was 25 and I started, I mean, I literally had like one chest hair, and I don't have crazy chest hair or anything, but I do have a decent amount of hair there. And I had zero hair like on my legs. I had zero hair on my forearms. And again, I'm not like furry. I don't shave my forearms, but there's not like a crazy amount of hair there. But yeah, it changes like everything about you. But I think there's like an amount of testosterone that you can take that, and performance enhancing drugs, you can take such an amount that it can alter your chemistry of your brain. You know, like somebody might check out some porn and they're into just like some normal stuff. They're into like quote unquote normal stuff. Just a guy and a girl having sex, right? If you're on testosterone and you start taking a lot of it, you'll probably start to get into more and more wild stuff. It probably will.
Really?
It probably exponentially make you get into more and more crazy stuff. And then the Trenbolone, I forget what it is about Trenbolone specifically
that makes you gay.
That has made some people. I mean, I don't know if I believe necessarily in like something like, you know, quote unquote making you gay.
The idea that Trenbolone makes users gay is a persistent myth and urban legend within bodybuilding communities, often summarized by the phrase "more tren, more men."
Oh, nice. Well, hey, you know, maybe it's an excuse. Like maybe the guy wanted to be gay all the whole time, and he's like, "It's that freaking tren that you gave me."
Libido and behavioral changes. Trenbolone is known for dramatically increasing libido and may cause high levels of aggression and roid rage. It can make users extremely horny or sweaty, which may lead to acting on.
See, when I think,
you know, that's an interesting thing about gay dudes is like they're like always super horny, right? So maybe gay just means like you're overly horny.
Well, yeah, it says like like in quotes, uncontrollable sexual urges. So who knows which direction that could be aimed at?
Right.
What if you're like, hey, you know, a butthole's a butthole.
Right.
Because a butthole is a butthole, right?
Right.
Or am I on too much trend right now?
Yeah. That's interesting, man.
Well, hey, you should maybe look into taking some trends.
Psychological impacts. Trenbolone is heavily associated with intense psychological side effects, including anxiety, insomnia, confusion. While it may affect us, have you ever tried Tren?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Not only.
Did you notice any of this stuff? Were you?
I wasn't gay.
You weren't thirsting for dick.
I didn't say that. I didn't act on any of it.
You didn't act on any of it. Good self-control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was able to resist the urges.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
It is funny about what it does to your sleep. I know a lot of people that have issues with sleep, and then also people talk a lot about sweating. Like just like, you know, like some people sweat in their sleep. Like I don't know why, but some people just get really sweaty when they sleep. And I never had this issue, but some of my friends would say like they just wake up and the bed would just be soaked with sweat.
Yeah.
From being
I got one of those beds that has the fan that makes it cold.
I know, isn't that stuff great?
It's a cold bed. Oh, it's amazing, dude. I sleep
all the
so
little
good.
amenities we have now. And then you can't travel anymore. Because you go to travel and you don't have like your little bed set up, then you
right. Yeah,
I can't sleep on this.
Yeah. My bedtime ritual is so complex. I gotta be like in the pocket. It's gotta be like the right, perfect temperature. My pillow's gotta be just right. You know.
You have a whole thing. Do you get like an eye mask?
I got the eye mask.
Mouth tape. Going?
I got the eye mask. I got the mouth tape. I got the nose thing that pulls my nose wider so I can breathe better through my nose. Yeah.
I saw one the other
Try
day
to
that
get dialed.
pulls your nose like in, like the bottom of your nose, but I don't know. You use a nose strip. It helps kind of open your nose up.
Yeah,
a
just
bit.
the basic Walgreens nose strip.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using mouth tape for a pretty long time. I like that a lot.
Even with the mustache,
it's
you can
hard
get
with
it
the
on there?
mustache, so I have to use the mouth tape that I use. It's actually a strip for your nose. Mm-hmm. It's a hostage tape. Mm-hmm. It's a strip for your nose, but I just use it like just barely to get the lips.
Yeah.
And yeah, every once in a while I lose a mustache hair in the whole setup. Got to be careful.
I don't like doing the full thing over my whole mouth. I just like doing a little strip down like the center of my mouth.
Just to kind of hold it shut.
Yeah. That way if I have to cough or something, I'm not
Yeah. Right,
blowing
right.
my face out, you know?
The other thing I'll do too is I'll sometimes just put a pillow underneath my chin. It just helps keep. I mean, you're going to move around, so it's not going to be as effective as.
Are you a side sleeper or back
yeah,
sleeper?
side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know some. I don't know if you've ever seen people wear the thing on their head that keeps your jaw shut. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that. It's crazy. A lot of people have sleep apnea that do a lot of steroids.
It's huge.
I've heard, but
Yeah,
I don't have that.
Sleep apnea is huge, and I don't think they really know why. You know, it's not necessarily like just a steroid thing, but it seems like a large percentage of our population. I mean, obviously there's people that are really heavy. There's people that are obese that have it. And then they claim that some people that take steroids have it because they have a bigger neck. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of people that don't necessarily have like a big neck or they're not really big and they still have sleep apnea. So there's not a lot of good solutions for sleep apnea. Like a sleep apnea machine is trash. Like those things they can be life-changing for some people, but I think it's a crutch, you know, and I think that people should try to figure out a way. They should figure out a way to get off of those things if they can. Mm-hmm. But there's not really a lot of good other solutions. It seems like if there is a solution, it would be to when you're way younger, to having like the proper mouth and the proper like size to be able to breathe easier. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like I said, there's not a lot of solutions to it. And it's a shame because it's I think it's killing people, but it's killing people like super slowly, and it's like it's in the background.
Yeah,
like we don't know how many people actually die from sleep apnea. But I think Reggie White, the famous football player that played for the Green Bay Packers, I believe he died of sleep apnea. But like sometimes people actually die in their sleep. They have like a heart attack, I think, from sleep apnea.
Right.
I forget exactly what happens, but it's an interesting subject because you're like, how are we not advanced enough to where there's like a remedy for that?
Have you ever messed around with the hyperbaric chambers?
I haven't. I've never been in a hyperbaric chamber before, but we had a guy on the show that talked about it quite a bit, and it was interesting. I mean, you're just basically exposing yourself to, I think, quite a bit more oxygen. Mm-hmm. Have you been in one before?
I've done them quite a bit. I have a friend who has one of the inflatable ones.
You notice anything from it?
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed a huge deal from it. I felt every time I do it, I feel just like insanely calm. And you know, I have lots of energy too. But I do it for I think I would do it for like an hour. And I would also do where you have it had the little intake where you could get the hose that goes in your nose too. So you're getting the oxygen in your nose and you're in that hyperbaric chamber for like an hour. But it's a mission to get in and out of that thing, especially when you're by yourself. Because I would do it with no one else around. I would just like, you know, you have to like get all the shit set up right. You have to like climb in it, make sure it's all zipped up, make sure it's not getting like overly pressurized or whatever, like make sure the pressure's right. And it's like because it can be very dangerous.
I might be claustrophobic in there. It sounds like
It's not that bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of us. I mean, it depends how claustrophobic you are, but it's not too bad, and you can just unzip it at any time and get right out. But like if you bring like electronics in there and there's like a spark, you're toast.
Shit.
Yeah, because the oxygen, super oxygenated air.
You'll like blow up.
Oh yeah, you'll completely be incinerated. You'll explode. But some people I used to bring my phone in there with me and then I finally started reading about all these fucking crazy accidents that were happening. I was like,
my God.
Wow. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I used to do it like once a week.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
What are some things you think move the needle for you? Because we did the sauna, and I know you said you had a cold plunge, but that one's being fixed. And
Yeah.
seems like you like to sled a lot.
Yeah, I love the sled, dude. The sled's a game changer. Like
The tank. You got
the tank. Yeah, the tank
M3
by Torque
or whatever. Yeah, Torque.
The Torque M3 tank is incredible. I don't do any leg workouts anymore. It's all I do is that tank.
That was hard today.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Seema got me that gi grip or whatever, so it strengthens your fingers and your hands and on your wrists and all
He's
that.
got every toy
when you're
and
doing
gadget
it.
you could think of.
Yeah, he got me those chairs that are on the springs. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
The stools.
Yeah, the hunkering stool.
I got those in my house, so like whenever I'm like in front of the TV or my kids use it when he's watching TV or playing video games, he'll sit on that, and that's
Gives you a different option for sitting.
yeah. I love that thing.
I think.
I've been doing the rice bucket.
Yep. Yeah, the rice bucket's great. I mean, opening your fingers is something you don't really think about that much. And I know for myself, my grip strength improved a ton just by opening my fingers rather than thinking so much about squeezing. Because I'm like, why is my grip? I have like a thing you can like test your grip, and I think I got it up to like 180 or something. So now it's pretty good on this grip thing that you can do. But it wasn't great a few years back, and I'm like, why is my grip not good when all I've been doing my whole life is grabbing stuff? And then I started reading more information about the getting the extensors in there a little bit more and opening your fingers, and I've been practicing that with the little tiny rubber bands that you put on your hands, and then also like with a rice bucket. It made a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I've been getting like all kinds of like little injuries to my hands and my fingers and my joints and stuff, and doing that rice bucket has really improved that. Really like made like I think it's made my fingers stronger, and it's definitely helped a lot with jiu-jitsu. And I fucking love, dude. So my whole life, I've always done like very similar type workouts. Like I've never really like switched it up a lot, right? Basically the same kind of like compound movements my whole life, and doing in Seema's Untapped workout program that he has on his school program, dude. Like some of those workouts I've never even seen, heard of, like. I'm working out muscles I didn't even know I had, and it's like it's incredible. I love doing it because I get like crazy cardio from it because it's like I'm killing myself trying just to like do these hip flexor workouts or like different like these there's these shin raises or something.
Tib raises.
Tibia. Yeah, the tibia raises, dude. I had no muscle in my tibia.
Just like leaning up against the wall type deal?
Leaning up, yeah. You lean and get like an angle, and you're like on your heels, and then you're going down flat, and then going back up on your heel. And dude, I feel like my shin bones are about to pop out of the front of my legs.
It's so strange, we spent all this time, years ago, like, it's nice to build out your shoulders and you do some lateral raises and you do some of these movements, but then you're like, well, I'd like the movements to have like a bigger payoff. Having big shoulders is nice. Like it's a cool thing, right? But you want the effort that you're putting in the gym to have, I guess, a bigger impact outside of that. Like building up your shoulders not really necessarily going to help you run faster, jump higher, move better, make you look better, which in turn can make you feel better, which is cool. But working your ankles and working your feet and doing like pogo hops and jumping rope and just all these various movements to really, build up strength in the feet. Get your feet so that your feet are like going straighter. We talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
I send you videos all the time about, it's not necessarily like, hey, don't ever walk with your toes pointed out. It's more like, hey, just be conscious that your toes are out and do stuff like when you're trying to train in the gym, try to have your feet straighter. When you're trying to do stuff where you're trying to produce more force or doing certain things, just you don't want to force anything too much, but just be conscious and just try to get your feet a little straighter here and there.
It is crazy how like Michael Jordan and some of those athletes had like crazy straight feet when they walk. They don't have the duck feet.
It's
Tom Brady's also one of them, right?
It's a characteristic of a lot of really great athletes. And I'm sure if there was somebody on the other side that was like, hey, look at all these great athletes that have their feet pointed out, then we would have evidence of a lot of
LeBron James.
Yeah.
He's kind of duck-footed.
100%. And LeBron James is a great example because LeBron James' feet are messed up. And so maybe he walks that way because his feet are also messed up. Stuffing your feet into like basketball
Jordan's
shoes.
feet were really jacked up too, weren't they?
I don't think there is LeBron's, have you ever seen pictures of LeBron's?
Oh yeah, they're awful.
Yeah, it's like his pinky toe is growing out of his other toe or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine Jordan's foot.
Whose foot is that in the very left? Go back, zoom out. Go to the very left. That's LeBron. That's fake. Is that really his foot?
I think that's his foot.
Oh, fuck.
Now I would also say like,
what kind of shit you think LeBron's on, bro?
there's some weird outliers, right? So I think that there might be some weird advantage to that crazy foot that his body has. Well, his body built it for a reason, and he's been lasting in the NBA for a long time.
Could be genetic.
Could 100% be genetic. Who knows? Maybe he came out and his toes were crossed over. It seems like a lot of that has to do with shoes, but like his pinky toe is in a really weird place. Like I can't imagine that's just from shoes.
Yeah, man.
Like that might be something else, but we've never really seen anybody like I don't even know what that is. I can't even really identify. We've never really seen anybody like LeBron James. I mean, he's one of a kind. I mean, the closest thing that we've ever had to him was Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson he's still around, but Magic Johnson when he played was like 6'8" and probably like 230. Like so he was big. That's a big person.
Yeah.
LeBron is probably the same size. So LeBron is a little bigger than he's quite a bit bigger than Jordan in terms of his like body weight and his overall size, but he could be the biggest. He could be the biggest, craziest athlete that we've ever had on this planet. Period. If you really think about it, you think about like height and size and muscle mass.
Yeah.
I mean, what percentage he can't be more than like 7% body fat or something.
Yeah, and he's been playing for so long too.
He might even weigh more than 230. I mean, that's a lot of weight to manage, regardless of how springy he is or how well he can jump. I do think that most of those guys probably take performance enhancing drugs. I don't know if the NBA, maybe they do now, but for a long time, I don't think they had any regulation on a lot of that. I think they had, it doesn't seem to be a thing, right? For like you don't think about basketball and you don't think about steroids,
Well, you do think about endurance though, like similar to like, the Tour de France guys.
Yeah, and high level endurance, maybe like akin to like soccer or something like that too, where you're sprinting and stopping and sprinting and cutting and doing all these things. And they move a lot. They probably don't move as much as a soccer player. Depending on what position a person plays, they run like 7 miles in a game. But maybe a basketball player maybe runs 3 miles or 5 miles in a game. That's still a lot. And especially being as big as LeBron James is, what I've always said to people is like, think about how competitive Michael Jordan is. So like, why in the world would he not have used PEDs?
Right.
I mean, other than the fact that like it was maybe
he was also slamming beers after games.
Yeah. It also was a little less common back then. But I mean, I'm sure he had access to all the best people. He had, a trainer that, and you would have to like give me reasons on why you think that he didn't take them.
Right.
For me to buy it. But
yeah.
And I think that people just think that all steroids are the same. So they think that steroids just automatically mean that you're going to get like big and jacked and bulky.
Right.
But
what is the blood doping shit called that Lance Armstrong was doing? That gives you incredible endurance. It's called EPO. Yeah, that's what
EPO,
it is.
Yeah.
What specifically does that do?
EPO, I believe that EPO increases your red blood cell count.
Okay, yeah.
So it allows you get more oxygen, I believe, to your muscles. Maybe you can look it up because I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, EPO. EPO supposedly is like a huge advantage. Now, again, all these people, they still have to put in the work. They still have to do all this stuff. And I think that's the missing component of the GLP-1 drugs and stuff is that like, you're not just going to take this thing and just like lose a bunch of weight. There's a cascade of disciplines that you need that will go along with that. And same thing with somebody taking a drug like EPO or somebody taking a performance enhancing drug. It's like, it doesn't just do a bunch of stuff to you. We're not there quite yet. We might get to that point. I did mention to you that James Bond peptide.
Oh yeah, what's that one?
It's called WVE 007, the James Bond peptide, some people refer to it as. And so far in some trials, it has put on, I think, like 4 kilograms, which is about 8 pounds of muscle mass, while also reducing body fat quite a bit. And from what I remember, I think it was like body fat and visceral fat specifically. It wasn't like, with some of these other tests and studies they've done, I think they've really measured weight a lot. They're like, oh, people lost a lot of weight, which is great, but they also are losing an incredible amount of muscle. In this case, not only did they lose body fat, and not only did they keep their muscle mass, they also increased their muscle mass. So, and I think it was in like 2 months or something. Again, maybe that's something we can kind of like look at.
How would Steve look up this James Bond peptide?
WV as in Victor, E as in Eddie, 07.
The 007 peptide, usually referred to as the WVE 007, a Wave Life Sciences siRNA targeting obesity. Okay. I'm not going to try to read all that shit.
There's so much.
Reduces visceral fat while preserving muscle. Whoa.
Right? Super peptide.
That's wild. So it's therapeutic for obesity, targeting an mRNA to reduce activin E, a protein associated with obesity.
Oh, and the dose was like it was only you only took a shot like a couple times. Improved body composition and potential for once or twice yearly dosing.
Mimics vascular endothelial growth factor. What does that mean?
I would assume that is probably heart protective, I would imagine.
Boosts your skin's self-defense against oxidative stress.
So these are different variants. This is BC007.
Oh, these are different types?
P7. This is PG007. This is what he was talking about, WVE007.
Find us like a visual for this peptide. Go up top to images.
Click on it, yeah. Oh, there's that guy that talks about it a lot. The guy with the backwards hat. He talks about it a bunch.
Oh, really? Let's see what he's got to say.
Oh, it's me talking about him. It's me. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I
Don't copyright strike me, bro.
Molecule WVE007. It's like the James Bond of weight loss. By day 85 of your one injection, patients had an average of a 9.4% reduction in visceral fat. They had a 4.5% reduction in total body fat. That's a 3.2% increase in muscle mass. Did you hear me?
I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the possibilities. I'm also excited about just bringing to the forefront how important body composition. You can shut it down probably because I probably just blab on.
That's bonkers. Okay, go back to Google Images. I want to see what that diagram showed. Go to the far left one. Punch that. Okay. Okay, it exerts its biological activity by binding to VEGFR2, similarly to VEGF, and inducing. Okay, this is fucking Greek to me. Extracellular cell membrane, intercellular. Okay, this is meaningless to me. I can't read this language.
May cause homosexual tendencies. What?
So that's bonkers. So it increases. Go to that chart, Steve.
I'm on it right now, bro.
Look on that chart. Let's see. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that means.
Bunch of numbers.
Wow. So it's like a IGF peptide. It's like
I don't know what the other-
IGF-1, but it also increases muscle.
Yeah. It seems to have something in it that is allowing people to gain some muscle mass. I mean, there's going to be fallout from all this stuff. You know?
Yeah, there's got to be. I'm worried about what we're gonna start seeing in like 10 to 15 years from this stuff.
That might be how long it takes.
Right.
I do know like there's issues with bone density with
IGF-1 stuff.
with the GLP-1.
GLP-1.
Yeah.
Why am I saying IGF?
IGF-1 helps people to hold on to muscle mass, I think, a little bit. But I think that, again, if someone's to take some of these drugs and they're 400 pounds, 300 pounds, and they're really trying to make a change, I think it can be really helpful because it can calm down. Food noise is in reference to just the constant calling out, the constant tugging of food calling to you. Almost like one of your kids being like, dad, or mom, right? Like over and over. Like it's fine. Certain parts of the day, it's great. You watch a kid jump in the pool and you watch him do the same. Hey, isn't that great? And you're like, hey, you did the same thing for the last hour. And eventually it gets to be like overwhelming, right? And so same thing with food. Some people that have food addiction, I would just call it, they have a hard time of really blocking that out. They have a hard time of feeling full. Even after they tried a couple of tricks, even if they like ate an apple, drank some water, even if they ate something fairly healthy for them, even if they ate early in the day, they still are getting this constant like tug.
Right.
And so this helps calm down and flatten out some of that noise, and that makes it easier for them to eat less. And then over a period of time, they should be able to lose some weight. But the type of weight that they lose is really important. And so it's critical that people that are going to go on those drugs, they also need a RX to lift. They need to go to the gym. And maybe a drug like that maybe could assist some people that might be in a worse predicament, in a worse circumstance where going to the gym maybe at the moment isn't an option because maybe they're really old, or maybe they're missing a leg, or they are in a lot of pain, or whatever the particular situation is. I'm sure there's going to be people that are perfectly healthy that take it that are just like, I just want to be more jacked and shredded.
Yeah.
But yeah, the jury's out on all this stuff, and it's going to take time. But I do think so far it seems like there's ways to take some of these drugs in ways that seem responsible for now. But I'm sure, just like as always, there'll probably be a biological tax somewhere down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, thanks for doing this, bro. This has been fucking awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tell everyone about the podcast, everything else, where they can find all your stuff.
I got to send you some steak shakes and stuff too. I don't know if have you ever tried them?
Yeah, you gave them to me last time.
Oh, sick.
They're fucking awesome.
I got to send some more out to you. Yeah, if you want to check out the steak shake or total carnivore shake, those are protein shakes that I make that have liver, kidney, heart, spleen, pancreas in them, but I made them taste good. And you can get all that at markbellslingshot.com. And then you can also see my invention, the Slingshot, which some people know me for, supportive upper body device for bench press, push-ups, dips. And then I saw that you have some of the other equipment in the gym. I make like handle attachments and all kinds of other things that you can check out on that website. And then I've had a podcast for 12 years. So check out Mark Bell's Power Project. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Dude, love it every time. I'll link everything below. Good night, folks.